Hello students, welcome to our online platform. Myself Engineer PP sir, your physics mentor. Students, today we are going to start our new topic which is electromagnetic induction. So, before starting electromagnetic induction, let us talk about some basic concept of what is electromagnetic induction. So, it is clear from its name itself, electromagnetic induction. It means here magnetic field will be induced. Here electric field will be induced due to change in magnetic field. Electric field is induced due to change in magnetic field. So it is the reciprocal concept of magnetic effect of current. So let us start with magnetic flux in electromagnetic induction. So whenever we talk about magnetic flux, then magnetic flux is defined as number of magnetic field lines passing normally through any surface. So let us say this is any surface given to us in which this is the direction of magnetic field. This is the area vector for this surface dA vector, and this is B vector. Angle between them is, let us say, theta. Then we can say that it is defined as d phi is equal to B dA cos theta, or d phi is equal to B dot dA. So if we consider a smaller area, then few lesser number of magnetic field lines will pass through it normally. So d phi is equal to B dot dA. If we have to calculate net flux through the surface, then it can be calculated using integration method. So phi is equal to closed integral B dot dA. So this is the general concept of magnetic flux. If we talk about that there are n number of trends, then we can say phi is equal to NBA cos theta. Phi is equal to NBA cos theta. Here theta is angle between magnetic field and area vector. Magnetic flux is a scalar quantity and its SI unit is Weber. So its SI unit is Weber. If we talk about its CGS unit, then it is Maxwell. So 1 Weber can be calculated in terms of Maxwell, which is 10 to the power 8 Maxwell. So 1 Weber is equal to 10 to the power 8 Maxwell. If we talk about its dimension, then it can be calculated by using the relation phi is equal to BA. So magnetic field is M1 L0 T minus 2 A minus 1 into area, means meter square. So for dimension it is M1 L2 T minus 2 A minus 1. So this is the dimension of magnetic flux, M1 L2 T minus 2 A minus 1. Now maximum and zero flux. So if we talk about maximum flux, then it depends on angle. It depends on angle. So here we are given different conditions. See, if we have to calculate maximum flux, then in case of maximum flux, area vector and magnetic field both should be in similar direction. It means theta should be 0 degree. So if theta is equal to 0 degree, in that case B and area vector both are in similar direction and maximum field line pass normally through this surface. It means in this case flux will be maximum, which is phi is equal to BA. And if we say that magnetic field and area vector both are perpendicular, let us say this is the direction of area vector and this is the direction of magnetic field. So in this case theta becomes 90 degree. So cos theta becomes 0. Hence no magnetic field line pass through this given area vector. It means in this condition flux will be 0. So in this case flux will be 0. Now see, in case of a body present in a field, either uniform or non-uniform, outward flux is taken to be positive while inward flux negative. So whenever we talk about flux entering, or we can say magnetic field lines entering into a surface, then that entering flux is taken as positive and flux that is going outside is taken as negative. So net flux linked with the closed surface is 0. So whenever we consider that any closed surface is placed in a magnetic field which is uniform or non-uniform, then net flux will be 0. So phi is equal to closed integral B dot ds, which is equal to 0. Now we are given here 3 different examples. In first case, here this plate is placed in plane xy. So in this case, let us say that magnetic field is given as B is equal to B naught I cap. It means magnetic field is given in x direction. Then its area vector. So its area vector is perpendicular to the plane xy. Perpendicular to the plane xy means it is in z direction. So in this case, B dot dA becomes 0, hence no flux will pass. Here again it is placed in yz plane, so area vector is perpendicular to yz plane, which means in x direction. So in this case flux will pass maximum because magnetic field is also in x direction, so dot product becomes maximum. Here in this case it is placed in xz plane, so again its area vector is along y direction, hence angle is 90 degree because magnetic field is in x direction. So theta is equal to 90 degree, hence magnetic flux becomes 0. Similarly, variation of magnetic flux. So here we are given two different situations when flux change and flux node changes. So magnetic flux linked with an area A is phi is equal to BA cos theta. That is, phi will change. See, here change in magnetic flux will be there if either there is change in area, either there change in magnetic field, and or change in angle between B and A. So flux is changing. So if magnetic field changes, then flux also changes. If area sweep changes, then flux also changes, and if theta changes, then flux also changes. It means we know that phi is equal to BA cos theta. It means phi depends on B, A and theta. Clear? So this is the general concept of its variation. Now see, our next topic is Faraday's law. Faraday's law. So there are two laws of Faraday. If we talk about first law of Faraday, then first law is when the number of magnetic lines of force passing through a circuit changes, an EMF is produced in the circuit. So first law simply indicates electromagnetic induction. It means if there is change in magnetic field, then EMF is induced in that coil, and if circuit is closed, then current is also induced. So this is the first law. Second law, Faraday's second law gives the mathematical relation of magnetic flux and induced EMF. So according to second law, that induced EMF is directly proportional to rate of change of magnetic flux. It means E is equal to minus d phi upon dt. E is equal to minus d phi upon dt. So simply we talk about its magnitude in second law. E is equal to d phi upon dt, or we can say if there are n number of turns, then we can say that E is equal to n d phi upon dt. Concept of this negative sign was explained by scientist Lenz. So we will talk about it also. Now see this negative sign. So what does this negative sign signifies? So this negative sign shows that induced EMF opposes the change in magnetic flux. So these are different conditions or different formulas. So here B2 minus B1 upon del T is representing rate of change of magnetic field, and its unit is Tesla per second. Similarly, if you have to calculate induced current, then induced current is, let us say resistance of this coil is capital R, then induced current will be I is equal to E upon R. Value of E can be taken from here, so it is minus N upon R d phi upon dt. So here R is resistance of the coil. Induced charge, so if we talk about induced charge, then it can be calculated by using the relation I is equal to dq upon dt. So dq is equal to I dt. So from here dt is cancel out, and we can say that charge is minus N upon R into d phi. It means dq is equal to minus N upon R d phi. So always keep in mind, induced EMF and induced current both depends on rate of change of magnetic flux, while induced charge simply depends on change in magnetic flux. It is independent of rate of change. It simply depends on change in flux. Now if we talk about induced power, then induced power is P is equal to EI. It means induced EMF multiplied by induced current, or you can say E square upon R or I square upon R. So simply you can use this relation to find induced power. Now induced electric field. So if we talk about induced EMF, induced current and induced charge, then we can use any other quantity which is induced, like induced power. Here we can see this relation. Now if we have to calculate induced electric current, then it is non-conservative and non-electrostatic in nature. So if we talk about electric field which is induced due to change in magnetic flux, which is non-conservative and non-electrostatic, its field lines are concentric circular, closed circular loops. A time varying magnetic field dB upon dt always produced induced field in all space surrounding it. So keep in mind, whenever we talk about variable magnetic field, then this time dependent magnetic field or variable magnetic field produces induced electric field. So this is the relation, E is equal to closed integral E dot dl. So here E is induced electric field. So this is the relation, E is equal to closed integral E induced dot dl vector is equal to minus d phi upon dt. So it is integral form of Faraday's law of EMI. Integral form of Faraday's laws of EMI. Now see, a uniform but time varying magnetic field exists in a circular region of radius a and is directed into the plane of paper. The magnitude of induced electric field at point P lies at a distance r from the center of circular region is calculated as. So here we are given a mathematical relation in induced electric field and magnetic field, which is closed integral E dot dl is equal to E, which is equal to d phi upon dt. If we place value of phi, then we can say A into dB upon dt. So here dB upon dt is time dependent magnetic field. Time dependent magnetic field, closed integral dl. So in case of circular coil, closed integral dl is known as length of its circumference, which is 2 pi r. Area is pi a square. So we can say that E is equal to a square upon 2r into dB upon dr. It means induced electric field inversely proportional to r, distance. It means if distance is increased, then electric field intensity will decreased. Now change in induced parameter with change in theta. So how induced parameters like induced EMF, current and charge depends on angle between B and A. So let us see here, coil turn through 180 degree means end to end. If we change the coil by 180 degree, then final flux will be minus NBA. Change in flux will be phi 2 minus phi 1. So we will use the relation phi is equal to BA cos theta, and here variation will be minus 2 NBA. So time taken is T, induced EMF minus del phi upon del T. So it is 2 NBA upon T. Similarly, induced current and induced charge. So this is a simple comparative table. You no need to memorize. You can calculate simply using the relation phi is equal to BA cos theta. So let us talk about the concept given here. If a bar magnet moves towards a fixed conducting coil, then due to flux change, an EMF, current and charge induces in the coil. If speed of magnet increases, then induced EMF and induced current increases, but induced charge remains same. So keep in mind, whenever we move a bar magnet towards a conducting coil, then due to motion in bar magnet, current is induced in a conducting coil. Current is induced in a conducting coil, and if we increase the speed of motion of that bar magnet, then in that case induced EMF and induced current also increases. Induced EMF and induced current also increases, but there is no change in induced charge. There is no change in induced charge. Here, can ever electric field lines of force be closed curve? Yes, when produced by a changing magnetic field. So keep in mind that electric field lines can also make closed curves, but in case of when they are produced due to variable magnetic field. It should be kept in mind that total induced EMF in a loop is not confined to any particular point, but it is distributed around the loop in direct proportional to the resistance of its parts. It means always keep in mind that induced EMF in a loop is not confined at a given point. It is uniformly distributed. Now let us talk about this example here. An example is given. A coil of area 0.5 meter square is situated in a uniform magnetic field. So we are given area of this coil, magnetic field is given, and area vector makes an angle of 60 degree with respect to the magnetic field. So you have to calculate magnetic flux. So it can be calculated by using the relation phi is equal to BA cos theta. B is given, A is given, and theta is also given. So simply you have to place all the values and have to calculate to find magnetic flux. Now see next question. In the following figure, the magnet is moved towards the coil with a speed v and induced EMF is E. If magnet and coil recede away from one another, each moving with speed v, the induced EMF in the coil will be. So we are given two different conditions. In first condition, we are given that this magnet is moving toward the coil by a speed v, and in second case both are moving away from each other by the same speed. So how there will be change in induced EMF? So we know that in first case E is equal to d phi upon dt. Now in second case both are moving from each other. So in this case flux will change with respect to time with double rate of initial one. It means in this case relative velocity becomes 2v, hence production of induced EMF is also twice. It means 2e. So option B will be correct. Now see Lenz law. So what is Lenz law and how it is used in electromagnetic induction? So whenever we talk about Lenz law, then it simply gives us the direction of induced EMF. According to scientist Lenz, if induced EMF is produced due to change in magnetic flux, then this induced EMF and induced current opposes the region by which they are produced. It means they opposes the rate of change of magnetic flux. That's why we use negative sign in our relation E is equal to minus d phi upon dt. So this negative sign is used due to Lenz law. So Lenz law gives the direction of induced EMF. The direction of induced EMF or current in a circuit is as to oppose the cause that produces it. It means it simply opposes the change in magnetic flux. Then motion of a bar magnet towards a coil. So see here, let us say here there is observer, this bar magnet is moving towards the coil. Then whenever this bar magnet moves towards the circular coil, then in that case this front face behaves as a north pole. So it behaves as north pole because of repulsion between them, it behaves as north pole. Similarly, if we take a south pole towards this current carrying coil, then in this conducting coil, then in this case also it will behave as south pole due to repulsion. Now this is the simple condition. Now let us see from these figures, it will be very clear the various positions of relative motion between magnet and coil. In first case, we are considering that north pole is moving towards it. In this condition, direction of induced current is anti-clockwise. Because it will behave as north pole. So let us see its concept. So whenever we consider that current is flowing in anti-clockwise direction, then it behaves as north pole, this way. And if we consider that current is induced in clockwise direction, then in this case it behaves as south pole, this way. So north pole is moving towards the conducting coil. It means in this case it will behave as north pole, and due to behavior as north pole, direction of induced current will be anti-clockwise. Similarly, north pole is moving away, So when north pole moves away, in that case, it behaves as south pole. It means here work is done against the attraction. So it behaves as south pole, and due to that, current induced in clockwise direction. Again, in next situation also, if south pole is approaching the coil, in this case also this behaves as south pole, and in case of south pole again direction of induced current is clockwise. And in last case similarly, if south pole is moving away from the coil, then in this case work is done against the attraction. It means this coil will behave as south pole, and it will behave as north pole, and direction of induced current will be in anti-clockwise direction. So this is the general concept. This is the general concept of finding direction of induced current. Now see, when two current carrying coils carries currents in same direction. So here we are given different conditions. In first condition, two current carrying coils carries current in same direction and moves towards each other. So they are moving towards each other. So in this case, induced current in both the coils are opposite to each other. So induced current in both the coils opposite to that of main current. So current through each coil decreases. So in this case, current is opposite and less than to main current. In this case, when they are moving away from each other, so when they are moving away from each other, then induced current in both the coils assist the main current. So current through each coil increases. So in this condition, current through each coil increases. It means current is flowing in similar direction. And here current is flowing in opposite directions. When two current carrying currents in opposite direction and moves towards each other, if current, see, in these two current is in similar direction, and in first case they are moving towards each other, so it will oppose the current and current will decrease. Here they are moving from each other, it means in this they will assist to the main current, it means current will increase. Now if current is moving in opposite directions and they are moving towards each other, then induced current in coil A is clockwise, that in coil B is anti-clockwise. It means in both the coils induced current flows in direction of main current. So keep in mind, if they are moving towards each other and direction of current is opposite in both of them, then induced current will be in similar direction. And if they are moving away from each other, in this case current in coil A is anti-clockwise and current in B is clockwise. In this case, induced current flows opposite to the main current. Now let us talk about this next concept. So here, when the inductive circuits are closed or opened, so let us say that wherever induction is there, then that circuit is either closed or opened, then what will happen? If two coils A and B are arranged as shown in figure, and if primary circuit is closed or opened, then direction of induced current in secondary will be as follows. So here we are given that current is flowing in primary coil and induced current or induced EMF is caused in secondary coil. So first case, current increases in coil A by pressing the key. So see, as we increase current in primary coil by pressing the key, then in this case inverse induced EMF and current is produced. So direction of induced current in secondary coil is opposite to that of in primary coil. So here what we are considering, that if switch is pressed and current increases in primary coil, then in secondary coil direction of induced current is opposite to of primary. And in second one, current decreases in coil A by opening the key. Now initially current was flowing and now key is opened, it means current decreases. So if current decreases, in that case induced current in secondary coil is same as that in primary coil. So direction of induced current and current flowing in primary coil both will be similar. So both two conditions are given here. In first condition, current is increasing, it means initially switch was off, and when switch was inserted or switch was on, then current increases, hence induced current in secondary coil will be in opposite direction of current flowing in primary coil. Now in second case, increasing and decreasing of current in current carrying coil. So if current is increased or decreased, in current carrying coil, then two conditions are taken again. When current increases by pressing the key, so again same condition is given, that switch is on and current increases. In this case, direction of induced current in the coil will be in direction opposite to that of main current. So both conditions are similarly given. In second case, only one coil is given in which current is flowing, and when we close the key, then current increases and induced current flows in opposite direction of main current. In second case, when current decreases by opening the key, so if switch is off, see, key is open, it means switch is off, then current decreases, current reduces, and if current reduces, then induced current flows in the direction of main current, in the direction of main current. Now see, concept is given. To apply Lenz's law, you can remember RIN, when the loop lies on the plane of paper, in RIN, R stands for right, I stands for increasing, and N for north pole. It means if a loop is placed on right side of a straight current carrying conductor and current in conductor is increasing, then induced current in the loop is anti-clockwise. So this is the simple condition which you have to keep in mind. Let us say this is a current carrying conductor. Here a coil is placed, and if current is increasing, in that case induced current will be in anti-clockwise direction. So let us discuss this question here. Consider a metal ring. Consider a metal ring on a horizontal plane. A bar magnet is held above ring with its length along the central axis of the ring. If the magnet is now dropped freely, the acceleration of the falling magnet is, so here let us say this is a ring and a magnet is being dropped freely into this current carrying ring, then we have to give the acceleration. So acceleration is more than g, equal to g, less than g, depends on the mass of magnet. So in this case, what will happen? If north pole is approaching this current carrying coil, then in this case its front face will also behave as north pole, and due to similar pole there will be change in magnetic flux, or we can say there will be repulsion. It means here it will deaccelerate. It will deaccelerate. So due to this deacceleration, its value of acceleration will be less than g, means there will not be free falling, so it will be less than g. So this is the case of how acceleration can be calculated in freely falling magnet. Now let us talk about our next topic, which is motional EMI or dynamic EMI due to a translatory motion. Let us say that a conductor is moving with velocity v in uniform magnetic field. So this is a conductor which is moving in uniform magnetic field with a velocity v. Then in this case, there will be change in magnetic flux and an EMF will be induced, which is given as E is equal to BLV. So E is equal to BLV. Here B is magnetic field, L is length of that conductor, and V is velocity by which it is traveling in that uniform magnetic field. So this is the concept of induced EMF when there is translatory motion. It means this rod is moving with uniform velocity. Now see, important cases. If the rod does not translate in a plane perpendicular to magnetic field, or in other words, rod is making with an angle theta. So in this condition, in previous diagram it is given that this rod is moving normally to this magnetic field. But now if we consider that this rod is making any angle theta with the magnetic field, then in that case here velocity is v cos theta, and here velocity is v sin theta and v cos theta, because it is making an angle theta. Velocity vector is making an angle theta with the magnetic field. So in this case, induced EMF will be BLV sin theta. It will be E is equal to BLV sin theta, because velocity component of velocity perpendicular to magnetic field is v sin theta. So here induced EMF will be caused due to v sin theta component of velocity. If rod is moving perpendicular to magnetic field, but its direction of motion is making an angle theta with its length, so in this condition its direction of motion is making an angle theta with its length. Then in this case, here component of length will be there, means again concept will be same, BLV sin theta. So either it enters by an it travels with an angle theta with velocity v, or it travels with an angle theta with its length. In both the conditions, induced EMF will be BLV sin theta. An arbitrary shaped conducting rod translating in a uniform magnetic field. If our rod is not straight, it is curvical in shape, then in this case, this rod can be replaced by a straight conductor whose length is equal to projected length of conductor onto a plane perpendicular to direction of motion. So induced EMF will be E is equal to BLV. It means we can consider that this is its curvical shape. So consider length from here to here, which is this length. So induced EMF will be E is equal to BLV. Now see, vector form of motional EMF. What is the vector form of motional EMF? So here, vector form. So see, vector form is E is equal to V vector cross B vector dot L vector. Its vector form is E is equal to V vector cross B vector dot L vector. This is the general concept of its vector format. This way, it will be maximum if V and B are perpendicular to each other and they are in direction of length vector. Induced current. So in this case, if we calculate induced current, then we know that induced current is I is equal to E upon R. Here R is the resistance of the coil. E has been calculated, which is equal to BLV. So it is I is equal to BLV upon R. Now, Fleming's right hand rule. So Fleming's right hand rule can be used to find direction of induced current or induced EMF. So what does it say? Fleming's right hand rule says that if thumb represents motion of conductor, and this index finger represent direction of magnetic field, then middle finger will give the direction of induced EMF or current. So thumb motion of conductor, middle index finger magnetic field, and middle finger will represent induced current or EMF. This is Fleming's right hand rule. Now see next topic. So next is, here it is worthy to note that rod PQ is acting as a source of EMF, and inside a source of EMF, direction of current is from lower potential to higher potential. So in case of induced EMF and induced current, if we talk about direction of current, then it is from lower potential to higher potential. So that point P of rod is at higher potential than Q. The current in the rod PQ is from Q to P. So this is the general concept which can be taken out from our concept of motion of this rod. Magnetic force on a conductor. So magnetic force, let us say this conductor is traveling in this uniform magnetic field with a velocity v. Then here if we talk about force, then this force will be F is equal to BIL. I is induced current. So this force is maximum. So I is induced current, which is BLV upon R. So here force can be calculated, magnetic force can be calculated as B square L square V upon R. As a result of this force, speed of rod decreases as time passes. So here we can say that as time passes, then speed of rod decreases due to this magnetic force. To move the rod with uniform velocity, some external mechanic force is required, and this is F external is equal to minus of Fm. So this external force is equal to negative of Fm, means it is in opposite direction of magnetic force. So magnitude is similar to it. Power dissipated in conductor. So if we talk about dissipated power, then dissipated power can be calculated here by dW upon dt. dW is F external into V. F external is B square V L square upon R into V. So here power will be B square L square V square upon R. This is the power dissipated in motion of this conductor in uniform magnetic field. Now see motion of this conductor in vertical plane. Motion of this conductor in vertical plane and horizontal plane. So first of all, I am talking about motion of this conductor rod in vertical plane. So this way. So if conducting rod released from rest as shown in figure, then with rise in speed, induced EMF, induced current and magnetic force increases, but its weight remains constant. So let us say this conducting rod is moving vertically in vertical plane. Then in this case, induced EMF will be increased, induced current will be increased and magnetic force will be increased, but its weight remains constant, means Fm is always equal to mg. So here you can calculate this motion of this conductor in vertical plane, which is Vt. So B square V perpendicular square or Vt square L square upon R is equal to mg. In this case, this is balanced by its weight mg. Now see motion of conducting rod on an inclined plane. So if we talk about motion of a conducting rod on an inclined plane, then in this case, when conductor starts sliding from top of an inclined plane, it moves perpendicular to its length but an angle 90 minus theta with the direction of magnetic field. So it moves perpendicular to its length but an angle of 90 minus theta with the direction of magnetic field. So in this case, E is equal to BV sine 90 minus theta into L, means it becomes equal to BLV cos theta. It becomes equal to BLV cos theta. This is its direction. It is making an angle 90 minus theta from the vertical. So this becomes V cos 90 minus theta and this becomes V sine 90 minus theta. So here this component is become V cos theta. So here it is BLV cos theta. Now motion of a conducting rod in Earth's magnetic field. So whenever we talk about motion of a conducting rod in Earth's magnetic field, then here three positions are given. In first position, when conductor is held horizontal with its length along east-west direction and then it moves. So this is the condition. Let us say that this is placed in horizontal direction along east-west direction. So in this case, towards east or west. So in this condition, conductor is moving along its length. So generated area 0, hence induced EMF is 0. So if it travels in direction along its length, then there is no induction, there is no production of induced EMF. If it travels from north or south, then in this case it will cut the flux and its value will be BLV. So similarly, these three conditions are given. Now, movement of train in Earth's magnetic field. So I am explaining simply key concept where questions can be asked. So if train travels on rails, then in that case EMF will be induced if magnetic flux is cut in direction perpendicular to its motion. It means when a train moves on rails, then a potential difference between the ends of axle of wheel is induced because the axle of wheel of train cuts the vertical component BV of Earth's magnetic field, and so the magnetic flux linked with the changes. So always keep in mind that whenever we talk about Earth's magnetic field, then in case of motion of train, induced EMF will be produced only due to vertical component of magnetic field. So here it can be seen that E is equal to BVLV. So BV is vertical component of magnetic field of Earth. Motion of aeroplane in Earth's magnetic field. So whenever we talk about motion of aeroplane, so either it is motion of train or of aeroplane, in both the situations EMF will be induced only and only due to vertical component of magnetic field. So only this is the general concept. Orbital satellite. So if orbital plane of an artificial satellite of metallic surface is coincident with equatorial plane of Earth, then no EMF will be induced. If orbital plane of that artificial satellite is coincident with the equator of Earth, then there is no induced EMF. If orbital plane makes an angle with equatorial plane, then only EMF will be induced. So you can clearly see from here, this is a semicircle. Here its separation between these two ends is 2r, which is equal to diameter. It means, let us say its length is 2r and it is traveling with a velocity v. So in this case, induced EMF will be 2 bvr, because our concept is E is equal to blv. So here L is equal to, effective length is equal to 2r. In this case, induced EMF is 0. In this case also induced EMF is 0. So in all these cases, induced EMF is 0. Now see, moving metal frame in non-uniform magnetic field. So here this metal frame is moving in non-uniform magnetic field. Then in that case, let us say here magnetic field is B1 and here magnetic field is B2. So induced EMF will also be different. So let us say at B1 it is E1 is equal to B1 AV, and at B2 it is equal to E2 is equal to B2 AV. So if we have to calculate net induced EMF, then it will be E1 minus E2. So we can say that E net is equal to B1 minus B2 into AV. This is net induced EMF. Now let us talk about this concept. In motional EMF, B, V and L are three vectors. If any two vectors are parallel, no flux cutting. So always keep in mind that these three should be perpendicular to each other. If any two of them are parallel, then there is no induced EMF because there is no flux cutting. A piece of metal and a piece of non-metal are dropped from the same height near the surface of Earth. The non-metallic piece will reach the ground first because there will be no induced current in it. So always keep in mind, whenever a metallic and non-metallic pieces are dropped from similar height, then in metallic slab there will be induced EMF and induced current which opposes its motion. So non-metallic will reach at ground first. If an aeroplane is landing down or taking off and its wings are in east-west direction, then potential difference or EMF will be induced across the wings. If an aeroplane is landing down or taking off and its wings are in south-north direction, then no potential difference or EMF will be induced. So always keep in mind, if aeroplane lands or take off in such a way that its wings are in east-west direction, then only induced EMF will be there. And when it lands in such a way that its wings are in north-south direction, then there will be no induced EMF between the wings. When a conducting rod moving horizontally on equator of Earth, then no EMF induces because no vertical component of Earth is there, because of absence of vertical component of Earth. So at equator, no vertical component of Earth, because at equator there is only horizontal component. So there will be no induced EMF. But at poles, BV is maximum, so maximum flux cutting is there, hence EMF induces. So let us see an example. A 2-meter wire is moving with a velocity 1 meter per second perpendicular to a magnetic field of 0.5 Weber per meter square. The EMF induced in it. So directly you can use the formula E is equal to BLV and calculate induced EMF. Okay, then students, we will discuss our remaining topic in next lecture. So that's it for today. In our next lecture, we will complete the remaining portion of electromagnetic induction. So thank you for watching the video. Let us meet in next video. Thank you.